The deadliest mushroom poisoning in the world does not always come in the death cap, and sometimes it looks a lot like some mushrooms people try to eat. Welcome back to Mushroom Poisoning Case Review, where I rate and review my favorite cases of mushroom poisoning published in the medical literature. My name is Ryan. I'm a clinical toxicologist who works with poison centers to help treat mushroom poisoning. I sometimes am a mushroom, and today we are talking about the most fatal mushroom in all of the North Americas and everywhere. And we have a doozy of a case. It's literally so old, it's not in PubMed. It's in a wild Swedish journal. There's a bunch of others that I could have used, but I really like this one. So the name is Amanita poisoning from Galerina marginata. That's right, we are talking about this notorious little brown mushroom, sometimes called the funeral bell or the autumn skullcap. But this mushroom contains a very serious toxin, sometimes called amanitin, but more commonly called amatoxin. I mean, just look at that thing. That is clearly a poison. And it's actually the #1 cause of mushroom poisoning death, not only in the United States, but in the entire world. So it's kind of good to know about. You'll find it in 2 main varieties of mushrooms. The first is the little brown variety, which we're talking about today. It includes some species within the Lepiota genus, the Foliotina genus, and, importantly, the Galerina genus. Now, you'll find some version of these mushrooms throughout the entire United States. The other version we see it in are the big and white-ish Amanita. Now, there's an important part here to disambiguate. Because this is called amatoxin, and some of the amatoxins are called alpha-amanitin, some people think that every Amanita mushroom contains amatoxin, but that's not correct. There are actually some Amanita that are totally edible, like Amanita caesarea, or other Amanita mushrooms that contain totally different toxins, like Amanita chrysoblema, which has ibotenic acid and muscimol, deliriants, or Amanita smithiana, which contains a kidney toxin. We have videos about both of these too. There are actually only a few mushrooms within the Amanita genus that contain amatoxin, about 12 of the over 600 species, and they're all in the section Phalloides. One very important version of these mushrooms are the big white destroying angels. Pure white, they have white caps, rings, and vulvas, which are typical of many Amanitas, and you can find some version of these throughout the whole US. But the very famous one is the death cap. Everyone seems to know about this mushroom, probably because death cap is a rad name, but also because it was used as a murder weapon in 2023 when an Australian woman made a mushroom beef Wellington using the death cap and killed 3 of her in-laws. Now, the other reason you may have heard about them is from a large outbreak that occurred in California recently. There's approximately 4 deaths and 4 liver transplants just from this outbreak. There was a large bloom of death caps growing where they don't normally grow, and many people unfortunately misforaged them. Despite being quite famous, they're actually not all throughout the US. They are actually invasive species that came in with pine farms, so we see them on the coasts where things get imported. Regardless of where you get your amatoxin, once it gets into your body, it's going to make its way down into your GI tract. And here, it's going to enter into your cells. Now, we'll do a